All right, so no song today. I completely forgot about that. But we are live. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I am one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my counterpart, Joe DeLeone. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Yeah, to answer any questions why the heck there was no music, dealing with wonderful licensing problems, which everybody loves to deal with on YouTube. Simple fix, but didn't have time to resolve that today. I'm doing pretty good, Blake. We're starting to hit the depths of what is about to be the offseason.
Yes.
Who doesn't love more to get to talk about today the drama of a team stealing a defensive coordinator? I think that is going to be fun for us to get to with the Penn State headline and the Clemson headline that came out today.
Well, not only that, you're also in a situation where Deion might be heading to the NFL. And when this happens,
I'm not buying that, dude. I'll entertain the conversation, but I'm not buying it. I know you're willing to buy it. I'm not buying it. I don't think it's real.
I just don't think that Deion's going to stay at Colorado either long or that he's staying in Colorado now. I mean, Dallas just opened up.
Is that all it takes, though? Is the Cowboys' job to open up? Is he going there with the assumption that he can get Shedeur? And that's what we're going to end up talking about.
I don't know. I love some coaching rumor. I really do love some coaching rumor. We're going to be able to talk about it.
I will say, I don't mean to cut you off, but I will say the fact that we lacked big openings this year, I do agree with you that we've been kind of devoid of the typical fun, entertaining, like craziness. Last year we got a gold mine with Saban. This year we didn't have any. It was Belichick, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, last year we had a shitload. We talked about new coaches till kingdom come, and this year it's kind of been calmed down. But we'll definitely talk about Tom Allen going from Penn State to Clemson, and we'll talk about the Deion situation. But we're going to pick back up what we did last time. Penn State was in the Final Four, and so was Texas. We're going to talk about both of them. What do they need to do to get back there? But Penn State, even though Tom Allen is out, would you trade the news that Drew Eiler, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen are all back? If you told me that 4 big Penn State storylines would come out today, and you told me that both running backs were coming back, and you have a quarterback that's coming back, and the DC leaves, well, their defense was good last year too.
That's true. I think that this Penn State situation is going to be. It requires a lot more work for them to get back to where they were last year. They might have missed their window. I think that they might have missed their window. That is something that we're going to talk about when we get to that segment.
That's way too many dudes to come back. I will give you this.
But look at what they're losing on the defensive side of the football.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't know. I don't know. Dude. You know, it's the 5-year anniversary of LSU's national title win in 19. Shout out to Joe Burrow and the boys. When's the last time Notre Dame won one, by the way?
It's about to be on Monday, January 20th.
Oh, okay. So 1988 was the date. The first George W. was still in office, my young man. Anyway.
Oh, were you 20 then? Is that how you were?
Yes, I was 20 years old. I was just about to be conceived, believe it or not. Oh. But the truth is, okay, there does come a situation with Penn State. You're going to have a serious conversation about yourself and the expectations that they're about to mount here.
Right. And it's right. Those expectations with all those guys coming back, I think that there's going to be hurdles in the way that'll save for when we get to that segment. It is not going to be an easy rebound for them. It is not going to be like some of these other teams that we talked about for them to continue to build momentum. It does kind of feel like they lost the window that they just had.
I don't agree with you there. The expectations that I'm talking about are, brother, when anybody else in the country returns that at running back and at quarterback, your expectations are going back to be the same. I'm just telling you.
I won't dig too far in because I want to save that debate for when we get to that segment.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see. So, yeah, we'll talk about Penn State and Texas. And, Joe, here's the truth. It should be a great day around Texas. Do you want to know why?
Why is that?
Quinn Ewers ain't going to be there no more.
Damn, that's crazy. Really, you doing that to him? Come on. You can't give him a little bit of. You can't give him like a little bit of grace.
You know why?
Why?
Because they have what could be a next generational quarterback behind him.
That's the whole debate and conversation that we're all going to be having.
Think about this. Okay, think about this. If I would have told Urban Meyer 6 years ago today, you better start Joe Burrow and forget about everybody else, I'm pretty sure his mindset would be a lot different, knowing the outcome of what Burrow would be versus the late and very good Cardell. It wasn't Cardell Jones. Who was it? Trey Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins.
God bless Dwayne Haskins. But you understand what I'm trying to say. God bless his soul. But that's what I'm trying to get at here. Like you better.
Better what?
Have been right.
I think that the Arch saga is going to create a really unique circumstance compared to any other team in college football. And
Joe, he's going to be on every single headline.
Yeah, there's going to be so much hype and buzz that is going to surround this Texas program, and that's the leading talking point. It's nothing to do with Arch being or with Quinn Ewers being gone, and everything to do with Arch now taking over.
No, it's all Arch Manning. That's all you're going to talk about. Now, we'll talk about the entire team. Rudy Poo. You know what every Texas conversation is going to be now.
Yeah.
It is here. It is among us. And quite frankly, I would have played that kid over Quinn Ewers, and I wouldn't have blinked an eye. He's still going to have struggles, but so does Quinn Ewers.
Well, different kinds of struggles.
I mean,
Quinn Ewers were self-induced issues often.
Oh, true. I said the Dwayne Haskins. People probably get upset about that. I didn't mean that.
No, I don't think anyone. You didn't say anything off there.
I know, but you bring up somebody that's passed, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
How can anybody say that we hate Texas when we literally have something like this, the I'm back thing?
Blake, you and I both know why we use that.
Yes,
we're trolling.
Well, here's the thing. Are they back? Joe, they've gone to back-to-back Final Fours.
Yeah, they're back to national prominence, absolutely, and they're knocking on the door. I really think, and I think Texas should lead the conversation for winning the national title in 2025. I really think that they should.
I got to be real with you. I think you're about to you could have another season like you just did. I don't know if there's another dominant team out there.
Absolutely. 2025 is prime positioning for Sark to win a national title. It 1,000% is. And if Arch lives up, I'm giving away free takes. I'm giving away too many free takes. Let's jump into the first topic because I want to save that for when we get to the Texas prediction.
He's still going to be a first year starting quarterback. We got to make that very much well known.
Understandable.
Here's another thing. We'll have yet another year of there not being a first-time starter at quarterback to win a national title in a hot minute. The only one that you would probably get, you would give me Stetson Bennett. And what I would say would be he started 3 games at Georgia before he went to JUCO and came back.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. But the thing though is, I wonder how that changes knowing that Arch.
Thank you, the quarterbacks.
Arch isn't a sophomore
Young.
though.
Bryce Young would be no.
Oh, Bryce Young, yeah.
No, they didn't win it.
Right.
No, they didn't win it. They never won one with him. There was Mac Jones. Mac Jones maybe, but Mac Jones started half the year.
But that was what I was getting at though, is that he was a junior when he took over. So he was an older guy.
Mac I think was a senior, but not only that, Mac Jones played. Remember, Tua got hurt; he broke his hip. Remember, he played the last 6 games.
Right. I don't know if it was 6, but it was a small portion of the season. Yeah,
at least 4.
Yeah,
because it was because it was right after LSU. Is the only reason I remember.
Right.
That year was special. Probably the last special year. that we're going to have.
For Bama?
No, for LSU, for like.
Definitely for LSU. LSU's definitely not going to win another national title. I agree with that.
I don't think
as long as they employ Brian Kelly.
Hush right now. I don't think that we're going to see a team like that in quite a minute.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
I mean, brother, the number 1 and number 2 wide receivers were on that team with Joe Burrow, who could be an MVP.
Right. The only other team that you could argue after that, though, was that 2022 Georgia team.
Or Miami in 01.
Well, no. I'm saying.
Oh, you like relative.
The most recent juggernaut team was 2022.
Yeah, they were beasts. Yeah. They could actually run the football then. All right, so Joe, there is some coaching news that is among us. Tom Allen is taking his talents from Penn State to Clemson, the DC, the former Indiana head coach. I got to be real with you. I love it. I love it if I'm Clemson.
Oh, obviously.
Well, I correct. I think that Clemson was one of the worst called defensive teams in the country last year.
Yes.
I really do. Tom Allen is they're coming after Garrett Nussmeier game 1. I like this. I like this addition. I got to be real with you.
It's obviously a tremendous hire, and knowing Clemson's limitations this year, they had a lot of good defensive talent, actually a lot of elite defensive talent that didn't play up to expectation. And they've got great players on this team, and they're bringing in high-quality transfer portal players that I have hyped up to say that I think that they will win the ACC, knowing what is on the line and what Cade Klubnik can do. First of all, by the way, was extremely off last offseason when this hire happened for Penn State. I said this was a bad hire, and I was blatantly wrong. This defense was tremendous. It was unstoppable throughout spurts of the season. They held Ohio State in check when they played them. They were a really tough out, and it's what kept them in games when their offense was really struggling. But from the Penn State, Tom Allen side of this, and I posed this question on Twitter, and everybody just matter-of-factly was commenting the same thing over and over again. I asked, what makes this a strong move for Tom Allen? This is a lateral move. I don't think that there are vastly more resources at Clemson than there are at Penn State. I don't think that this is a vastly better opportunity to win a national championship than it is at Penn State. You just got to the Final Four. Clemson has not been there in some time. Since the Trevor Lawrence's last year was the last time that they were in striking distance. No, that was 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
2020. That was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to get at here is this deal has to be enormous. They must be giving him tremendous control, and they must be giving him a lot more money in order to make this decision to leave. Or James Franklin is just so difficult to work with. That's where I'm getting at here is there something that we're not being told? Is there something that we're not understanding here that we don't know about? Because the whole circumstance of jumping from Clemson to Penn State does not feel like it is a job that is a step up. It is not a job that you take like you're trying to take the leap up, the step up in your career. I would think if you were to leave Penn State, it would be for an NFL job or it would be for a head coaching gig. I can't wrap my head around this. It doesn't make any sense.
I went to just check very quickly if Tom Allen had ever worked with Dabo. It doesn't look like it.
No, they haven't. That's the weirdest part about all this. They've got no connection.
I will admit I know yesterday we got very tabloidy and we were just kind of joking around. I'm not trying to be very tabloidy here, but you're right. To the normal fan, the register goes up, like the antennas go up when a coach goes from Penn State to Clemson, mainly due to the fact based off of the season that they just had. And quite frankly, the only way that you were getting through some of these games was on defense. And I know that you had super freaks. But that's the goal anyway. The goal is to get super freaks in there. Last time we talked about Clemson, you talked about Will Helt, you talked about Peter Woods, you talked about all these pieces. Well, shit, I'm not saying that Will Helt can be that, but you said that he could be the sack leader in the ACC next year is what you had said.
In the country. He could be the sack leader in the country.
Okay. If that's even remotely close, then for a one-year deal, I don't think it's lateral. Because I do think that he's trying to get himself back to something. But my antennas go up for another reason. To what you said, this is crazy to me. You don't normally see this like this. And Joe, to be on the Monday after you got your ass whooped, I say you got your ass whooped before you lost.
Right.
I mean, like, it screams something went on in that locker room. I have zero proof. But I got to say this, though, too. I don't know enough about James Franklin. I don't listen to him. I mean, but man, he's had some good people on his staff, right? Like, it doesn't seem like there's always been this kind of situation. So I don't also want to throw him like that on him either. Our thing about James Franklin has been what goes on the field.
Right.
We're not talking about, like, the players must love him. You know why? They keep coming back.
That's true. Also, I mean, this helps when you're trying to come back and,
there's
an
but
NIL
you had
check
the number
coming
4, Kuiper's number 3 and number 5 running back.
Yeah, Katron Allen is the number 5 running back.
Yeah. I have no idea.
I pray to God that's
on.
incorrect. And Singleton, yes, Katron Allen is a day 3 pick. Katron Allen coming back makes complete sense, but we're going to get to that in a little bit because he's not going to draft it high. Get the money when you can.
We're not talking NFL. I'm just saying that's what
I'm
trying to. He's still a really damn good college running
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Brother man. Like, I don't want to put that on him either.
Look, I'm not accusing James Franklin of doing something scandalous. That's not what I'm saying. The lack of results on the field for them to finish in big games has been the talking point that we've had. And you kind of wonder, like, what goes on that they can't finish in these areas? What goes on in the weeks? What goes on in the weeks of preparation? That's the obvious answer from this year. But, like, he is a long
year that it hadn't been.
It's a fair point that they have not had consistent high-level quarterback.
The only NFL quarterback that he's had in McSorley, they beat Ohio State that year. Continue.
Okay.
Sorry.
What I was trying to get at here, Blake, is that their backbone has been defense. Their backbone has been high-level defensive performances. Manny Diaz just leaves for the Duke job that he was offered after putting out one of the best defenses in the country and recruiting a lot of premier talent. And Tom Allen takes that and runs with it to produce another elite defensive team that was incredibly well-rounded. I think what you're saying here of the timing of this isn't like they went to the ReliaQuest Bowl and they had 4 losses and it was an underwhelming, disappointing year, and you kind of just leave thinking like, oh, shucks, what could have been? And Tom Allen's
looking around, saying that it's an upgrade of a spot.
Right. You'd be saying to yourself, oh, this makes sense. Tom Allen sees Clemson's on the rise and there's a good opportunity. But Penn State made it further. Penn State was the better football team. Penn State had more talent on it than Clemson did this year. Again, I'm not trying to accuse James Franklin of doing something and being, bad behind closed doors. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's just very odd to me that this is the result after you just made it as far as you did and your defense carrying as far as you did, that he is now leaving and choosing to go somewhere else that is not exactly a guaranteed destination for success.
He was the DC for Hugh Freeze. They had moderately good defenses there.
Right.
So, I mean, he's done it everywhere. He did it when he went to Penn State. I mean, ultimately it got him and he got fired, but that's a whole different Hugh Freeze problem. I mean, look, I understand. I'm with you. I get what you're saying. I just, something had to draw him there. I'm not going to throw that on James. I think he's going to have some serious pieces at Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
As an LSU fan kicking off with them game 1, I'm terrified at the exact moment.
I mean, and you should be. So, like,
but you don't know what he's going to throw at you. You have no clue. Not with these pieces, you don't.
Right. I think that for Tom Allen, what he did this year plays in very effectively. To take the Clemson angle here for the remainder of the segment, knowing that Penn State had a lot of athletic linebackers this year, got really good production out of their linebackers, and fed off of their defensive line, getting a lot of their production. That to me is a really big green flag. Basically what you said at the very beginning of the segment, like, this is a great move. If you need an upgrade at your defensive coordinator spot, don't go and hire somebody from a mid-level program. Go steal somebody straight away from a top team.
I mean, it makes the most sense. And he's a good coach, man. I mean, he's a good coach. So we'll see. But
Can
Tom
I ask
Allen,
let me ask you something before we move on here.
Okay.
What do you think James Franklin should do to rectify this? Do you think that he needs to go steal his own big name defensive coordinator?
Sure, but it doesn't matter. You know who you bring in there? The right guy for your system and your place. Here's the thing I'd say about James, man. He got Tom Allen. Now, he didn't have him. He lost him. He got Andy Kotelnicki from a guy who Andy Kotelnicki knows a lot. He stole him. The dude's
Right.
This is a whole nother thing in this. My man has legitimately put some really good staffs together.
Yes.
Manny Diaz, and look,
He's had some bad OCs, though. We got to just point that out.
okay, that's fair, but he's been there a decade.
Right.
I mean, like, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, shit, you can't look at Nick Saban's last coach at OC and everybody clowns on Tommy Rees. I mean, like, it's going to happen. But there also comes a place for Penn State. I didn't think, or I didn't mention that we thought that we'd get to this segment. I don't know. I legitimately don't know.
I'm trying to. So
you know who you go get?
Who?
Oh, this is gonna piss some people off.
Oh no.
I'm legitimately going to Auburn.
And who
Durkin back in the Big Ten. Do you think he's ever welcome back in the Big Ten?
I mean, that's
debacle at Maryland.
Probably not. The immediate thought that I have, though, is that he hires a lot of defensive coordinators that were former head coaches. I'm looking and trying to see like who fits that description, and there's nobody. They waited. This happened so late in the cycle. They could have had Ryan Walters, who was fired at Purdue when was at Illinois and just took the Washington job, which we probably should have talked about when that news broke. There really weren't any big names that were fired that were defensive coordinators.
Well, that means you got to go take somebody.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what direction this goes in.
Yeah, you got to go take somebody. That's what it means. I mean, shit, you're Penn State. We are. I mean, you're not a small program. And you know what else you just got? Let me tell you what else you just got. Joe, they just got $40 million to play in 3 playoff games.
Well, they don't get to keep that.
They keep 20 of it.
Wait, that number's off.
No, go Google it right now. I promise you're going to get $20 million of extra TV revenue money. I promise you it's going to happen. That's what it's going to say. They're not sharing it. Every team gets $20 million. Go look it up. Ross Dellinger reported it because I talked about it last week on AYS. Please, God, go look it up.
I'm not going to look it up right now because it's going to we'll end up sitting
here.
It's
literally in the Google headline. It's literally in the Google headline.
Look, all I'm saying here is I think that James Franklin is probably going to be motivated and directed to look for a former head coach. I don't know who truly fits that description that's currently out there and available. There's also not many other Big Ten defensive coordinators because Minnesota just lost their defensive coordinator to Miami. D'Anton Lynn's probably not leaving USC. That actually wouldn't be a bad hire, though. Try and go get D'Anton Lynn from USC would be a pretty good option for them.
That would be a fantastic hire. You know that you're going to get a good run defense.
Right. And that's a better situation if I'm D'Anton Lynn.
You're right. It was $20 million throughout the entire – here – it doesn't matter.
You still get a lot of money, but you're not getting $20 million.
The number still works. You can go get somebody, buy somebody out with the extra money that you just got in TV revenue.
Right. And you're also, again, you're Penn State. You've got an abundance of finances to work with.
Yeah. Go get a
lot of money now.
All right. What do we go to? Oh, Deion. So, Joe, Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys has been floated out there on the Twitter machine. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think at some point he's leaving. I don't see him staying at Colorado more than a year. If he doesn't get an NFL job, I don't see him staying more than a year at Colorado. I can't.
Here's my thing, Blake. I feel like this is such an easy headline for ESPN to push out. They've turned into an outlet that is trying to
push him there. Dallas.
Well, no, but just naturally, they try to generate headlines. They're not the same type of outlet that has been, journalistic integrity. It has been generate buzz. And this is the second or third time that this has been brought up. In just a general fantasy, this is an amazing concept. Like it's a great idea. Trade Dak Prescott, move up to that second or third overall pick, and go and get probably the third overall pick and go and draft Shedeur Sanders. And there is also then an ability for the although you'd have to trade with the Giants, it'd be hard, but there's an ability for Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders to stronghold certain teams into saying, I'm not coming to play for you unless, X, Y, and Z, you need to let me go to Dallas, blah, blah, blah. There is draft capital for them to make this move to reunite them and for them to be Dallas Cowboys. It would be a match made in heaven. It would be a part of one of the biggest franchises in all of sports, in the entire world. This would be perfect. This would play exactly into what Jerry Jones wants. But I just don't think that, one, Deion Sanders wants to leave and to be a part of this. Two, I think that both Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders are smart enough to realize that the Dallas Cowboys right now are a shit show and it is not an organization worth tying your career to. And three, I also think one thing that's not talked about enough, like if this does happen, it would be with the stipulation of connecting Shedeur and Deion back together. And I don't think Shedeur Sanders wants to continue to have this. I mean, I would think at a certain point when you're 22, 23 years old, you should have aspirations to go on and do your own thing and no longer be coached by your dad.
Can I tell you what I was thinking the entire time when you were saying that?
What?
Says the guy in the New York Giants hat.
Oh, stop it. Don't you can't.
Because you know good and well that there's going to be somebody, okay.
You can't call into you can't call into question my fandom impacting my.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I know what the comments are going to read, and that is exactly what the comments are going to read when we go and look at them. I'm with you on this. I think it would be. I really do like Deion. He brings a lot of headlines to us, me, you, everybody. Why would you do this? I mean, like, there comes a part in time where Dallas has got to be serious. Yeah, trade Dak Prescott, draft Shedeur, do what you think that you need to do. All that, make Deion your head coach. And what's going to happen if it misses?
Right.
It's going to be utter chaos. Like Jerry said that he wants to win a Super Bowl before he dies. It's the number one thing that he wants to do. Sounds good. Deion?
I feel like if he's going to go and grab a college coach, it's going to be someone else. And people in the chat earlier were saying Steve Sarkisian. That would make sense. Maybe he tries to go get Dan Lanning.
I don't think Sark would do it again.
That's fair. Yeah, he didn't. His time in the NFL didn't go very well.
Cushy situation in Texas, man.
Right. And that plays in also here with Deion Sanders is that he has a really good situation in Colorado where there is just so much support that's being funneled into that Colorado football program and that's being placed behind him for the marketing that he has done for that university and boosted their applications across every category. The other aspect of this too is you kind of hear Deion Sanders talk about him getting into coaching. This isn't a guy that I think is going to be pulled away just from getting offered a bigger deal and more money. He has been someone who has gotten into coaching because he wants to influence and help young men. Like he has been vocal about that. I don't think he just takes the Cowboys job, just take the Cowboys job.
That Colorado money is different than them Cowboys money, though. I get what you're saying. I do think that there's legs to this, though.
I'm sure they don't pick up the phone and call. I'm sure that there will be a conversation. I just don't think it makes sense.
Jerry going to call him in for an interview.
I bet he does. I bet he does. He deserves it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you got to. Now, but Joe, I never felt that when he took the Colorado job, that once Shedeur and Travis Hunter left, I never felt like he would stay long. Maybe he does. I don't know. But he did it at Jackson State. He's doing it here. He's never been without a son.
And that right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, there also comes a time where he can't talk to he's got to now treat it as a coach. This isn't your son at quarterback, right? Like you those conversations are massively different now. You don't have all three of your sons there to be the leaders of the team and how you want it being molded. So I had a relative that was my head coach, okay, through high school. He would send hints to me and my cousins all the time on how he wanted his team to be built. Hey, man, we're lacking here. We're doing this. And underlyingly, all three of us would do it. All right, this got to be done. That's got to be done. Those conversations are had between Shedeur and Deion. He doesn't have that now. It's going to be interesting to see how this transfolds. I think Caden Salter is really good. That's just me. So they got talent in Colorado. If he goes back, I think they still can be really good. I'm not saying that he won't win games. I just don't know where his path is leading.
Well, I think that his path is, yes, it was initiated by coaching his sons, and he coached them in high school that then set up the opportunity to coach at Jackson State, to then coach at Colorado, and that has been the path. And it's understandable to bring that up of like, what do we expect now, knowing what was the start to all of this? But I think on both sides, there is a desire for Deion and for Shedeur to go in opposite directions. I just think that at a certain point there had to be a separation, and it feels like that's where we are right now. I also think that he has done a good job of building a foundation for Colorado to continue to get better and better every single year and play and win a conference that is extremely winnable with the structure and the way that they build their teams. The NFL, it is a circumstance where he has accomplished a lot. He's won Super Bowls. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist. He's already one of the biggest names in just sports in the United States. People who are casuals and barely know anything about college football know who Deion Sanders is and know him from his NFL career. I just like, what would be the selling point if you're Deion Sanders? Like, what would be the motivation for him to say, yep, I'm taking this job. I'm going and coaching the Dallas Cowboys.
His motivation?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there in no way. If Jerry Jones picked up the phone and called Deion and said, I need you to come home, he's gone.
I mean, that makes plenty of sense, but I feel like he's not your typical coach. He's already accomplished so much.
I just called you Jewel, like my 2-year-old daughter.
Great.
Joe.
Great.
I'm going to tell you like I tell her. Here's story time coming. You ready? Money talks and bullshit walks. I don't give two Rudy Poos that what he said about the money. Because they have been flashy with the Suns and Travis Hunter all over the place. They are involved in the agency firm that represents all of them. Bullshit. They can say whatever they want to say out there in them people's streets. Money talks and bullshit walks. That is the way this world goes. And you best believe that, and as the great meme would say, he don't give a shit about them kids.
Yeah, but come on.
Go. He literally walked in there and said, I'm bringing my baggage, and it's Louis. And he made the entire team hit the portal. I don't have a problem with that. But don't act like that he ain't going to do what best suits Deion. And he should do that.
I understand that angle of it. Obviously, his roster management stuff should be called into question of this conversation. I
ain't gonna do that with Jerry.
I'm not painting him to be like some righteous leader that is only doing this because he wants
to Texas State how they feel.
Okay. But what I'm getting at here is he is not your typical coach that is up and coming and getting better and better opportunities and then moving on to the NFL because that's the ultimate goal.
You said, what's his motivation?
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is
Colorado ain't the Dallas Cowboys. That's his motivation. It's the NFL. Like, what do you mean what his motivation would be?
I'm saying that he's this is such a unique circumstance for him. It's not like that this is Kirby Smart or this is Steve Sarkisian, who has not been in the NFL as a player before and has not already been established nationally as, one of the biggest names in sports.
Kirby.
I'm sure that would be on the table here because the last 2 successful coaches that the Dallas Cowboys had were national championship winning coaches.
Kirby ain't leaving.
I don't know, man. I think that this is a little bit more complex than just assuming if the Dallas Cowboys call, you take the call and you leave.
Well, sure. Kirby ain't leaving.
I know Kirby's not. I don't think Kirby is.
Now, there is somebody. You ain't gonna like what I'm about to say, but there is a very established head coach that is out there.
Brian Kelly.
No. But he did coach at LSU.
You saying call Ed O?
No. My brother in Christ. Nick Saban, you doofus.
Oh, they're not hiring Nick Saban's done.
It's
not hiring Nick Saban.
I did not say that they were hiring him. What did I say?
There's
no way on planet Earth that I am not picking up the phone and calling him. If I had a head coaching position, I don't give a shit that he's 70, 73. I see how he moves and shakes, and it's different now.
Okay, but this is the same. Wait, this is the same
I'm
conversation with Bill Belichick.
You can't change my opinion. I'm calling his ass.
But if I'm Nick Saban, I'm not doing that. You're ending your career on top, being known as the greatest coach of all time. And he was
in the NFL. He went on top.
He was awful in the NFL. Why would you ruin?
He wasn't awful in the NFL.
They were awful.
The Miami Dolphins is a horrible organization that wouldn't let him take Drew Brees.
They still sucked.
If he got Drew Brees, they would have won a Super Bowl.
I'm trying to be clear here, though, that Nick Saban going and trying to resurrect the Dallas Cowboys, where he's got like maybe 5 more years of coaching left in him before he's like really got to sit down. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you risk your legacy when you've already established and built it?
Because I would tell him, because it's Jerry, and I would say, I'm about to die. You're about to die. Let's go win a Super Bowl before we both die. And by the way,
I wish it was that simple.
By the way, I'm going to give you $25 million a year to do it.
That would be astoundingly the highest paid coach in NFL history. I'm pretty sure.
I'd pay every single penny of it. You're paying.
That's wishful thinking. I think you're nuts for suggesting that Nick Saban would take the Cowboys job.
I'd throw every NIL dollar that I Arkansas, you're up shit's creek. All that money going to Saban.
I wouldn't do that either side.
I'm calling him. Ain't no way I'm not calling him. He gonna tell me no 20 times.
Let's see if that works. Let's find out that. I've been curious to see what happens here. It's going to be a weird hire, I promise.
All right. Speaking of the state of Texas. So, Joe, we did this after the last playoffs. Let's do it again. Look, back-to-back years, Texas has gotten to the Final Four here. They've lost in the in the semifinals both times. One step away from getting to a national title. It's going to be a new season going into 2025. What does Texas have to do to get back again, a three-peat going to the semifinals? What do they got to do?
Look, the big thing that we let in with the Open here, and it's the main talking point, it's what happens with Arch Manning. Is Arch Manning the guy that lives up to the hype? And I really think that there is going to be a transformation for this team. I really think that in the small little sample sizes that we got to see of him in the games where he started, for when Quinn Ewers was hurt, for the times that he came in those sub packages, seeing the level of athlete he is and seeing the poise that he has, and more importantly, him having 2 years just to sit and learn and observe and to soak everything in, that should provide even more optimism for Texas fans for what he can do. This is not throwing in a guy like Quinn Ewers started pretty early on and he was young too when he jumped into the mix because he was an early enrollee. He was a reclassified guy. Arch has had time to acclimate himself to knowing what he needs to do to go out there and perform at a championship level. And they can take that next step. I think that Texas's formula for winning a national championship in 25 is going to be the simplest out of any team, because look at some of the best players for this team. It's all young guys. Anthony Hill Jr., Colin Simmons, Ryan Wingo. They're best players on a week-to-week basis, even with premier players like Cameron Williams and Kelvin Banks and Jaden Blue and Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden, guys that probably are going to go on to the NFL draft and not be a part of the team next year. Your best guys and the guys that have shown the most promise were former 5 stars that stepped up to the plate. That is the whole big theme for me, Blake. Those 5 stars, those guys I just mentioned, and Arch Manning have to live up to the hype. And I think that they will. Texas fans, seriously, you guys think that we hate on you guys. We're just trying to be realistic about expectations, but I'm about to be the biggest Texas fan in 2025. I'm telling you guys right now, I have done this shit. I did it with Miami last year. This is going to be my Miami team this year, Blake. I really think that this Texas squad with Arch leading them is going to be completely different because we're not talking about a team that has the bones to succeed. We're talking about a team that is the elite athletes that are very hard to come by, it seems like, in the modern version of the sport.
They're replacing 2 guys that had 5 picks apiece. I get what you're saying. What does their secondary look like? By the way, their other safety, Derek Williams, is coming off an ACL tear. So what does his status look like with him coming back? Joe, I get what you're saying. Their schedule, again, next season is lighter outside of the Georgia game. And what is Georgia? Georgia's got some questions of their own that they have to answer now. I don't think the question should be, can they get back to the semis? The question ultimately now for them is, can Arch Manning lead them to a next step and them go to a national championship game? And what you had just mentioned. You get to a semifinals again, okay, and you've been there for 4 years or 3 years in a row. People are going to say that they're going to give you the Notre Dame treatment. Oh, you can get there, you can never get over the hump. That's what's happened to Notre Dame over the last decade. Oh, Notre Dame, yeah, they're the darlings. They're going to get in there, and then they're not going to win the game to get to a national championship. That is what, and it's ironic that they just did it, but you get what I'm saying from the past now to the present. Notre Dame's future is changing at the current moment. There comes a time and place where I do agree with you about Arch. I think that they should have started Arch over Quinn Ewers. I've been very vocal about that. You have been very vocal about that. Quinn was never going to lead you to the promised land, but he's good enough. And he was always good enough around very good weapons. But, Joe, they got a lot of things that they got to figure out on their offensive line, too. I don't care if give 2 Rudy Poos what you tell me. Not only could you not run the football, wasn't all on the running backs. You didn't get pushed. You didn't protect well in some situations. Some of these sacks are not on Quinn Ewers. I'm not talking about the early Ohio State game. The right tackle got absolutely obliterated by Jack Sawyer on the game-winning play that you had to have.
Cameron Williams is overrated, by the way. That guy's not very good.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't – well, it does.
No, I'm justifying your point. He got his ass kicked.
It's justifying the point. Yeah. I get that's a first-round guy in Jack Sawyer. There's a lot of first-round guys that you're going to see. That doesn't make it any difference whatsoever. There comes a time that you're going to have to start answering some of the other questions besides when we come out here about Texas. Is Quinn Ewers going to turn the football over? What are you going to do here? What are you going to do there? You didn't overcome the 3 biggest games the entire year. You didn't. I mean, like, I expected you to beat Clemson. I expected you to beat Arizona State, and you almost failed at that one, by the way. And then your real biggest challenge was going up against the behemoth known as Ohio State. And let's just call it for what it is, Joe. Talent v. talent, you still lost.
I understand what you're saying. And yes, we don't want Sark to fall into the James Franklin mold. You don't want him to fall into that category of just constantly
And I don't
losing.
think that he is. I don't think
no.
that he is. I'm not going there. I'm just saying.
Because he's showing there was a spot for them to win the football game. And look, plain and simple.
Oh, he called Joe, hot take. Was that one of the best play calling games that you've seen from a coach in a long time?
Extremely well called. Offensively and defensively, they were outplaying Ohio State.
Without a doubt.
It came down to one singular failure, and that was Quinn Ewers getting strip sacked and the ball being ripped from his hands and being returned for a touchdown, which is Cameron Williams' fault, and it is Quinn Ewers' fault. And I'm not trying to completely assess blame, but like what I'm getting at here and why I have super high expectations that I think that can be actually come to fruition is that there's a different guy playing quarterback. How many times have we seen in the sport where there's been a good team with a good quarterback and they just kind of get to the 1-inch line, but they don't finish?
Penn State, we literally saw it. We literally saw it earlier, and then we saw it with Texas. I mean, for what it's worth, let's call it what it is.
Arch.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that Arch has the opportunity, though, and Texas has the rare opportunity to have somebody who's more talented than Quinn Ewers to replace him.
It's not a small feat to get that 1 yard. I would say 2 of the 4 big Ohio State wins this year. Well, actually, Oregon too. They had a drive where it was at the 1 yard line and the team couldn't get in. That ain't got shit to do with scheme. That shit's got everything to do with who's got the better players. That is the bottom line. When you got to get 1 yard, Joe, Penn State couldn't get a yard. Texas couldn't get a yard when the game was on the line. Quite honestly, be a little real with you, I don't think that they have the talent offensively in certain situations. Can Wingo be good? Yep. Is Bond coming back? Maybe. There are some situations where to beat a team like that, you got to get better talent too. And you got to
remember, though, they're bringing back Cedric Baxter.
Right.
Yeah.
It won't matter if that offensive line, this is where I was trying to end. It won't matter if they can replenish, if that O-line continues to not protect Arch Manning. That's how I see it. I think you're talented enough. Your schedule's light enough. You can get back there with a favorable seeding, but
it sounds like you're going to hate me all offseason because I'm going to be pushing this.
I could see them going. No, if you told me a year ago from now, Texas is playing for a national title, I would not call you crazy.
All right, well, get ready because I'm going to keep bringing it up. I can't think of a better team that fits this description.
Based off of schedule alone, they're a playoff team.
There's no reason why they can't get there. Well, playoffs not the issue. Them getting in the playoffs not the issue. It's them winning the SEC. It's them winning a national championship.
I will say this, though. Texas battling Ohio State the way that they did makes me really reconsider the Carson Beck stuff and how good he had played in moments for Georgia. Because, technically he was the starter for the time that they beat him. And then that Georgia team still beat Texas twice. That's all I'm trying to say. I think a lot of people think that Georgia sucks right now after losing. But no, I've been seeing it way too much. All right, let's go to Penn State. So Drew, Joe, we are talking about what these teams in the playoffs have to do to get back to the playoff and to a national title game. Now, I called you Drew to start off. Why I did that was because of this. Drew Adler announced that he is returning to Penn State along with Singleton and along with Katron Allen. You do lose a DC today, so I think all of this is relevant. But when you look at Penn State, what do they have to do to get back to a Final Four?
They're also losing
national title.
They're also losing Abdul Carter.
Right.
The Zane Durant is coming back.
Is Wheatley the safety? Is he coming back?
I haven't seen any news regarding that. I don't know if that has changed since we started taping this, but Blake, this is pretty simple for me. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen coming back is obviously significant because that's the bread and butter of this team. Kotelnicki at Kansas and now his first year at Penn State. This offense has been driven off of creativity in the run game. It's time that Drew Aller has to step up. And we lauded him. We were extremely, optimistic of what he could do in 2025 when we did that segment when it was first announced originally that he was planning to come back before the NFL rumors started to drum up because the quarterback class sucks. The way that he played in that game against Notre Dame was awful. He cost them that game. It's not just his fault, though. This team is devoid of receiver talent. And the craziest part is that this Penn State team, this program, especially under James Franklin, it's not like they've had struggles finding receivers. They have some of the best receiver prospects to come out in the last 10 years that have gone on to the NFL. Not all of them have panned out, but they have had some really productive receivers that have gone through this Penn State program. I don't know who those guys are right now. Is Kyron Hudson enough of an answer? I thought that it was a huge deal that they got him. A USC fan's trying to downplay
Kyron Hudson, by the way. I really like him.
I really like that kid. And I think he's going to be really helpful for Aller. But losing Tyler Warren, going to be a tough loss for him as a passer. Aller needs to step up, and he needs to get better. And the receivers around him need to desperately step up and be better. It's too late to go and find somebody else unless you coax somebody to hop in the portal during the spring window. But that is the most obvious glaring weakness at the moment is that you can't throw the ball in crucial situations. You just can't.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what Aller looks like in his second year under Andy Kotelnicki. I think that is one of the more intriguing storylines going into the next season. I also think that Kyron Hudson, I've seen him block 2 punts. I've literally seen him come down with ridiculous catches. I've seen the kid do it all. I do agree. I don't know if he's enough, but my God, is he a massive upgrade from what you had?
Yeah.
I mean, like they're massive upgrade. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I know that you can run the football on anybody. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I saw you go up against a very physical Notre Dame team, and quite frankly, Joe, I'm not trying to be funny here at all. They dominated Notre Dame in the running game. I don't care if it was the edge. I don't give two Rudy Poos. When you line up and you run the ball for over 200 yards on anybody, somebody got bent over and they got their ass smacked. That's just the truth. But the bottom line comes, it's not just a Drew Aller thing now either. Now is the time that I start turning the heat up on James Franklin. I know you lost to DC today. I know you're losing Abdul Carter. He was losing to the teams that he wasn't more talented than. I don't expect anything more than that. I don't know if Penn State has a ceiling, but I know that you got 2 explosive running backs and a damn good wide receiver coming back. I know you got to replace Tyler Warren, and it looks like you're developing pretty damn good along the offensive line. Allar's got to take a next step, man. You're right. I mean, like, this is it. I don't know how else to slice it. I don't know how else to dice it. If he does not take a step up, then Drew, Joe, I keep calling you Drew because of Allar's. Joe, I don't know where they can go. This Zakee Wheatley kid's a redshirted junior. I'm going to tell you right now, this dude right here can play. They got pieces returning all over the place. The bottom line becomes, though, man, you couldn't get a yard against Ohio State. You couldn't finish off in that Notre Dame game. Yeah. That continues to be who you are. I mean, it's so wild to me that you can be so talented, but yet never get over the hump.
I think one thing that now you bring up actually something that's really interesting. James Franklin does need, I think, more fire under his ass because, he got this handout of an extension because he was getting phone calls for SEC opportunities in 2021. He gets a 10-year, $85 million a year contract. They're not going to fire him. But, I mean, shit. If we just saw what Norvell did and what Brian Kelly did, I would think that the athletic administration should try and do the same exact thing with James Franklin. I think that they need to go to him and say, you're locked in here. We're not going to try and get rid of you. I'm not saying that they would try to fire him, but there should be a reinvestment back into the program because the results aren't cutting it. They've been really good. They've been good enough, but what's the expectation if you're Penn State? I think the point that you partially indirectly brought up here is a very important one. Franklin has to finish. Not getting the national championship game against the guy who's in his 3rd year, that's unacceptable. That should be unacceptable to Penn State's athletic administration. It should be unacceptable to Penn State's fans and the players on this roster. Putting money back into the program, I think, is a simple way to approach it, and it's obviously a very complex issue. But they need to do more, and it all starts with boosting their offense.
I'll say this. Since 2016, Franklin's won 11 games in 16, 11 games in 17, 9 games in 18, 11 games in 19. I'm not counting COVID. He went 7-6 after COVID. He went 11-2, 10-3, 13-3 his last 3 years. I get what you're saying, but it's getting damning. I don't think he's remotely – you can't fire him.
No, and that's why I don't think that you can't fire him when he's got until 30-31. No, that's not on the table, and that's not what I'm suggesting.
I mean, that's fair. I think the reason I say turn the fire up, because if you can't win with these pieces coming back, I know you got generational dudes that are leaving your team. I get that. Man, when you have a quarterback that's got that level of talent, the expectations rise. With that running game, it rises. I get they got problems at wide receiver. You're going to have to win one of these games now. I mean, like, this is cut up or shut up time. Like, either you're gonna have to win, get to a natty, or win that sucker, because I would have no faith that you can get over the hump. And at some point, you got to cut your loss. So I don't think they can fire him right now, but man, shit's gonna start getting really interesting if
they got to hit the DC hire out of the park. That's the last thing for me. I mean, that has to be
James Franklin has hired Tom Allen and Manny Diaz back to back. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, if I'm being honest.
I'm curious what direction he's going to end up going in.
I don't know, but both of them blitzed.
Probably going to be somebody aggressive. I'm really quickly kind of curious, like who are some of the candidates that had some of the best defenses in the country this year.
It'd be Indiana, Ole Miss, Golden ain't leaving. You're not getting
Tennessee's
Jim Knowles.
DC. Why am I? Yeah, you're not getting Jim Knowles. You're not getting Al Golden from Notre Dame.
They're not going to Tennessee and getting that dude. Ain't happening.
You're not getting shit. Who's the?
Is there a DC that was in a TV job like Manny was for that year?
No, that's what I'm getting at. Is it like who would be a former head coach that would take this job? And there's
Nick Saban.
Yeah, Nick Saban would be the only one that I could possibly think of. I don't know who Indiana's defensive coordinator is off the top of my head, but like I'd pick up. Nobody's hired him away. I'd pick up the phone and call him.
Maybe.
What about who is South Carolina's DC?
I don't remember, but he ain't leaving either.
I would think Penn State would have more money than South Carolina.
I'm sure they do.
Clayton White
got some money. Who is it?
Clayton White.
I don't know. That dude went in there and recruited his ass off, though, didn't he? Boy, they had some dudes at South Carolina defensively this year, brother. If they had a moderate offense, South Carolina?
Yeah, that's a whole separate issue. This is a Southern guy. I don't know if that he would. Although he was at Western Michigan at one point. Where did he play? Played at NC State. Yeah, Clayton White's not leaving.
We'll see. All right. Well, y'all have a good night, man. Peace.